What's up, friends? Welcome back. This is Syracuse Sports. My name is Brent Axe. So glad to have you here, presented by our friends at Crouse Health, the exclusive healthcare provider for SU Athletics. We got a lot to get to today, my friends. It has been a hell of a week in the Syracuse football and men's basketball front, to say the least. Red Grange leather helmet era style football for the Orange. Hey, remember back in my day when they didn't wear helmets and they ran the ball all the time? Who needs the forward pass, right? Well, that's how Syracuse beat Pittsburgh at Yankee Stadium. 382 rushing yards. And a tight end who used to be a quarterback was the ACC co-running back of the week? What? Yes, and we have him, folks. I had a one-on-one conversation with Dan Villari, the Massapequa kid, the Yankee fan who has the game of his life at Yankee Stadium. You'll hear that one-on-one conversation coming up, and we'll discuss if Syracuse can keep this up. Well, I got to do it for 2 more wins, right? 1 more win to clinch bowl eligibility. I think they need 2 more wins to fully ensure the return of Dino Babers as head coach, but just 1 win to get the bowl eligibility, 2 games to do it. Can the Orange keep it up? Because they literally don't have a passing game right now, and that's kind of a problem. So we will discuss that. The comeback kids, Syracuse down 24 points to Colgate. What is believed to be the largest comeback in Syracuse basketball history. They beat the Raiders, the team that had knocked them down 2 years in a row. How that comeback came together even before the game started. Chris Bell gave me some unique insight on that. Judah Mintz had some interesting things to say about how the comeback came together once they got on the court. What a game it was, and no day at the beach is coming up for Syracuse with that loaded Maui Invitational field that they will play in next week. We're going to play a couple of your voicemails coming up as well. What a show we got lined up here. I want to take a couple of minutes, though, to tell you something I am pumped about. I am really excited to start, and something that you, particularly on this podcast, can be a part of. We have launched what we call Syracuse Sports Insider. This is a way for you to text me directly. The phone number is 315-847-3895. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the information right there. Text the word orange to 315-847-3895. And what you'll get is a link to sign up. And what you're going to get is access to me, direct access. This is not a group chat, guys. I hear you. I hate group chats. No, this is you text me, I text you. Your opinions, your thoughts, your questions. You will get priority on this podcast. You are going to drive the conversation on this podcast and essentially become the co-host of this podcast with your opinions, your questions, your thoughts on all manner Syracuse sports. There's a 2-week free trial. Try it for 2 weeks. See what you like. See what you don't like. Send me text. Hey, Brent, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? Give me your thoughts on this. You've got direct access to me to do that. After that, it's just $3.99 a month. I mean, what is that? That's less than a latte at Starbucks these days. So 1 less coffee and tons of SU Sports insider information. You're going to get my opinions first. Breaking news happens. Our texters are going to get it first. If I hear something juicy on the SU football coaching search front, if there is a coaching search, you're going to get it first. You can text me before and during and after Syracuse basketball games. Football winding down here, but certainly the next 2 football games as well. I can ask your questions in the locker room. Here's a great example. The sound bites you're going to hear from Chris Bell and Judah Mintz in this podcast, you would have got first as a Syracuse Sports Insider after I got out of the locker room. And what Chris Bell told me I thought was really interesting, and what Judah Mintz told me I thought was really interesting as well. It's that kind of exclusive, take you behind the scenes, locker room access you're going to get, guys. And we'll see what else develops from this. But it is a way to direct connect with me and talk SU Sports. Give me your thoughts. Vent during a game and help drive the conversation on this podcast. So text the word orange to 315-847-3895. Try it free for 2 weeks. It's $3.99 a month after that. And the cool thing, guys, is you can cancel anytime. All you got to do is text the word stop, and you won't get it anymore. But then if you I kind of miss hearing from Brent, you can sign right back up. It's just that easy. We're really excited about it. I'm excited to hear what's on your mind, to make you part of the conversation here on the show, to give you my insight, analysis, and any news tips, anything of that, you're going to get it first as a Syracuse Sports Insider. 315-847-3895. Text the word orange to that number and sign up today. And we are excited to get that rolling here, folks, and can't wait to hear from you. I can't wait to hear from Dan Villari in a minute here, who didn't quite have a Diamond Ferry type game. For you Syracuse fans that remember, Diamond Ferry goes two ways, single-handedly beats Boston College in 2004. It was an incredible performance that day. Dan Villari, though, come on, man. This guy, he comes to Syracuse, wants to be a quarterback. Becomes pretty clear he's not going to beat out any of the quarterbacks on the roster. So the coaching staff converts him to tight end. And we have slowly but surely seen Dan get more involved in the offense there. You know how Uncle Brent feels about throwing the ball to the tight end. When you lose Arondé Gatson, that passing game has just completely evaporated for a number of reasons. But before that, we did start to see Villari get out there. Villari has been one of the more passionate players on the field. He's been one of the passionate players talking to the media in the past couple of weeks. You're going to hear him kind of tell that story coming up and what his role in practice was. And this is a guy that had been there and done that when Syracuse, out of desperation, guys, let's make no mistake about this. Garrett Schrader can't throw the ball right now. With the pass he threw, and it was a touchdown pass to Max Mang, he grabbed his shoulder afterwards, was clearly in discomfort. He can do backflips, as we saw in that Pitt game at Yankee Stadium, but with Schrader hurt, with Carlos Del Rio Wilson currently unavailable. Remember, he left the Boston College game at the end with a lower body injury. He played through it at the end of the game. And we haven't seen or talked to Carlos since then. We're not quite clear on the severity of the injury, but it was enough he didn't play against Pittsburgh. And I'm not anticipating he's going to be able to play against Georgia Tech either. Braden Davis and Luke McPhail are the next quarterbacks on the depth chart. I asked Dino Babers this week flat out, can these guys throw the football? And he said, we believe our quarterbacks can throw the football. We just didn't need to against Pittsburgh. Well, guess what? You're going to need to throw the ball against Georgia Tech. Look, credit to Syracuse for what they did. That game plan was genius. It worked. It came out of nowhere. Pat Narduzzi flat out admitted in a sideline interview on the ACC network during the game at Yankee Stadium that we didn't expect this. It worked. Nobody loves the cloak and dagger game more than Dino Babers, and this was the prime example of, look at this. We outwitted you. We outsmarted you. We put out a plan you didn't see coming. 382 rushing yards. Syracuse had 399 total yards in that game. 382 on the ground. And it was Villari. It was Schrader. Let's not leave LaQuinn Allen out of the mix as well. Gave a passionate speech to the team prior to the Pittsburgh game. Georgia Tech, though, comes in with the third highest scoring offense in the ACC. They're averaging 32 points per game. And guys, they are desperate. Syracuse, Georgia Tech, both have 5 wins. Both want to clinch a bowl bid. Syracuse has an easier path there because if they don't beat Georgia Tech on Saturday, Wake Forest comes to the Dome 2 days after Thanksgiving. Wake Forest is a mess this year. You know who Georgia Tech gets after Syracuse? Georgia. You know, 2-time defending national champion, longest winning streak in the country, best program in college football. Rivalry games, right? You love them, but you don't want to have to play Georgia to be bowl eligible. So Georgia Tech is going to go all in this week. Brent Pry, their head coach, has really tried to get the fan base stirred up there, and they are desperate. They can smell it, and they want it. They have the worst run defense in the ACC, which is good news for a team in Syracuse, which has focused a bit on the run game and has to focus on the run game. But what has been eliminated is the element of surprise, right? Can they do it again, though? There is a renewed optimism, a renewed, to steal a phrase from Dino, faith in this team. They're feeling it. They had lost 5 in a row, and you have, it's a cliche of cliches, guys. You got to do what you got to do, right? Syracuse did what it had to do to win the Pittsburgh game. I have my doubts if that's going to work against Georgia Tech. I think it could actually work against Wake Forest if it doesn't this week against Georgia Tech. But the element of surprise came in. The old sports cliche, that's why they play the games, came into play, right? And it happened with both the football and the basketball team. We are going to hear from Dan Villari coming up here shortly. We're going to hear from Judah Mintz and Chris Bell in the locker room. We're going to hear voicemails coming up a little bit later on in the show. You guys had some things to say about that basketball team. I was entertained what I was hearing during the game from you guys there, so we'll play a couple of those voicemails coming up. But as noted, the man with 154 rushing yards, the Massapequa kid, goes out there, a quarterback turned into a tight end who's the running back of the week in the ACC. And you'll hear those thoughts first here in our first question with Dan Villari coming up. Let's take a listen to that.
I had told you a month ago that you would be the ACC running back of the week. What would you have said to that?
I would have said you're crazy, man. Stop playing with me. I wouldn't believe you. But it's crazy how life comes full circle, and I got that opportunity, and I'm blessed. I'm grateful for it.
So let's go back to last week. You guys had just lost 5 in a row. You got to switch things up, and you know it. Just how was this presented to the team? Take me to the moment where they said, this is what we're doing, and how was your reaction to that?
Yeah, in the team meeting, Coach said some guys are going to be asked to do things that they weren't maybe asked to do when they were recruited here, and everything's going to be different. But he was just asking guys to buy in and trust the plan, and it's going to be an old-school football game. And, we're just going to, run it down their throats, up, old school. And basically just saying to buy in. And it was tough for everyone to buy in at first, but I think by the end of the week, everybody did.
Was it easier for you, like in that moment where you're thinking, like, I've done this in high school? Were you like anticipating, like, oh, wait a minute, they might come to me and ask me to do some of this stuff?
Yeah, I was confident immediately. When he called me, I was surprised, when he told me the news, but right away I was like, man, I could do that. I've been doing that my whole life. So I was confident for sure. I just had to get everybody else to buy in and help me out. So
how did you do that? There must have been some skepticism about this. How did you get people to buy into this?
With me, I like to I'm not like a stand up in front of the team, rah-rah speech guy. I kind of like to catch guys individually and just tell them what it is and what's going to happen if you buy in. And I try to tell the receivers, I said, listen, this is not what you're going to do the rest of your career. Like, you're going to catch balls eventually. But for this week, we just need you to go hard and block and put on a blocking highlight tape, because in the NFL, you got to block. And, why not just put on a highlight of blocking and show scouts that you can do it. I was just trying to motivate them in that way. I told LeQuint, you're going to play this game the rest of your life, so you might as well just get better at football every single day and just go as 100%. And then I had a conversation with the O-line, and I told them, if you care about me, you're going to block your butt off every single play for me, and I'm going to run as hard as I can for you guys, and everything's going to work out. So I just try to get guys individually to the side and tell them.
So as we speak, Dan, you guys are kind of putting the plan together for Georgia Tech, but you got this in your back pocket now. You know you can do it. But what else can you do now? Like, are you all in on this, do you think? Or do you start to say, okay, can we throw the ball a little bit more this week? Does it depend on the opponent? Like, what's the step forward now?
It's whatever coach says. I'm going to do 100%. I'm just going to listen to him and execute whatever he tells me. And, we don't know anything yet. At the end of the week, we'll know, what the plan is.
Your journey here has been very interesting since you've come – transition, wanted to play quarterback, go to tight end. Now you're playing running back. Who else knows what you'll be playing as we go through the rest of the season? But I guess you got to be ready for anything. Yeah. But tell me about that journey and just having to adjust so much, even just in the short time you've been here.
Yeah, if you would have asked me in high school what I'd be the starting quarterback at Michigan. But, took a couple turns, and I always knew I was a football player. I didn't want to completely admit it, because I wanted to be a quarterback, because I felt like I could throw it with the best of them. And but shit happens, and I'm just grateful to be playing, and I'm just grateful to be helping my team win. That's most important.
No matter what happens from here on out, Dan, a kid from Massapequa goes into Yankee Stadium and has a game like that. How about that memory, and what has your family and friends said about that, particularly because it's so close to home?
Yeah, it was just so unbelievable how I had so much family in one section at that game, 40 minutes from home. And I'm just so grateful. I'll remember that the rest of my life for sure, just kind of like, the beginning of this journey and the beginning of my career that's going to, go places for sure.
Are you a Yankees fan?
I am, yeah.
So, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
How huge is that?
I was looking for Aaron Judge's locker,
There you go.
Yeah.
Dan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
An amazing game, and we'll see what happens the rest of the year. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you.
So in sort of the second version of the quote Han Solo, I'm a Star Wars guy, as you can see, never tell me the odds. Second half, Colgate 54, Syracuse 30. The Orange are down by 24 points. They have looked listless. They have looked like they're stuck in the mud. They have looked like anything but a team that could be competitive against a Colgate team that has been in the NCAA tournament a few years in a row. Matt Langle has done an exceptional job building that into a Patriot League power. Syracuse is young. Syracuse is still trying to find its way under Adrian Autry. But the way the Orange had played was unacceptable. They even got booed at the Dome on Tuesday night. And then things turned around. So before we hear from Judah Mintz and Chris Bell here, I heard from you on the voicemail line, and I loved what you guys had to say, starting with Michael Antonio.
Hey, this is Michael Antonio in Central Florida. You guys remember Nolan Richardson's 40 Minutes of Hell? At this point, I'll take 40 minutes of purgatory, man. These guys, they kind of showed themselves pretty good there, Let's keep that up.
I do remember Nolan Richardson and 40 Minutes of Hell. That's a big question too, Michael Antonio. Can they play press the whole game? They're certainly deep enough. They're certainly athletic enough. They're certainly young enough. But even with the 4-minute intervals, and that was key. That is something a number of players and Adrian Autry said after that win. They play 4-minute games. They structure that at practice. It carries over into a game because that's pretty much the time of in between TV timeouts, right? So you play those 4-minute games. Let's see what's happening, as you're going to hear from a couple of players here in just a moment. 40 Minutes of Hell in Syracuse, part 2. We'll see. A couple more voicemails from you.
Hey, what's up, Brent Axe? It's your boy Papa Jones, a.k.a. Trotter. I got to say, I ain't going to lie, this game had me a little worried. I was like, Colgate is going to beat us another year. But I got to tell you, the head coach, Mintz, they all found a way to come back, man. 79-75. Can't take them no better way to end the night, man. Because I got to tell you, this Colgate rivalry, it's only a matter of time before that dome pack, man. I know it was only a Tuesday night, but, this rivalry was starting to become something, man. Especially the past few years under Coach Boeheim with them beating us. But either way, the Orange got a victory. Hope they continue to shine. They got a lot of tough ones coming next week for Thanksgiving, so this was only a stepping stone.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. And he makes 2 spectacular points. One, this is a great rivalry now. Let's face it, Syracuse doesn't have any natural rivals in the ACC. Duke feels like a big game, but Duke's rival's North Carolina. Syracuse-Colgate has become a thing. And that crowd erupted on Tuesday night. About 17,000 in the Dome, and they were just as much as 37,000 would have been in the Dome. Second point, oh boy, here comes that Maui Invitational. You start with Tennessee, top 10 team. Purdue or Gonzaga looming after that, depending on how Monday goes. Kansas is in the field. Marquette's in the field. Mighty Chaminade is in the field, the host every year of the Maui Invitational. Whew, right into the fire, which made that win so important. That's an NCAA tournament resume builder. It showed their mettle. They played 40 minutes of hell, 20 minutes of hell in this case, played the 40 minutes of hell pressure defense, knocked down Colgate. But man, Maui, then you come back, LSU in the ACC SEC Challenge. Virginia looms not too long after that. Georgetown, Ed Cooley coaching there now, looms not too far after that. What a run the Orange have coming here. The hottest fire is certainly going to make the strongest steel. One more from Tony, and then we'll hear from Chris Bell and Judah Mintz.
Hi, Brent. This is Tony from North Carolina, first-time caller, and a big Syracuse fan. Anyways, watching just a little bit past the second half, my question is frustrating enough to see that they are not anybody rebounding, really. Seems like all four guys are running back to play defense rather than rebounding the ball. And this is what I think is giving Colgate second chance opportunities. I just can't believe that we cannot box them out. Anyways, I appreciate it. I love your show. Take care.
Thanks a lot, Tony. We appreciate that. And rebounding is going to continue to be an issue for this team. They don't have the size. Even Colgate, Keegan Records, Ryan Moffitt, size-wise, Colgate actually had some advantages. Certainly when Naheem McLeod is in there at 7'4", it tilts the scales a little bit. Malik Brown's a terrific pressure player, can be a terrific rebounder around the basket. But rebounding and defense, two issues for the Orange. And while they did come back in that game, I think Judah Mintz is still a little bit too much. I've got to do everything in that mentality. I think he's got to run the offense more than be the offense. But, man, what he did in the second half, you can't take it away from him. To recover, especially from what I thought was a rough first half for Judah Mintz, shows you the type of player he is. He's the emotional leader of that team, the literal leader of that team. And I talked to him after the game. And as a Syracuse Sports Insider, sign up by texting ORANGE to 315-847-3895. You will get this kind of stuff first, guys. Talk to Judah. Here's what he said about those 4-minute games that Syracuse played and how it paid off in the comeback against Colgate.
Just 4-minute segments. Every 4 minutes in the game is immediate timeout usually. So we like to play in 4-minute intervals, and we go on runs. You might go on a run as a team. It might be 2-2 at the end of 4 minutes. But just knowing that we have the ability to get stops in a row, and knowing that we have the ability to score in bunches, really kept our confidence up.
It's a stepping stone game for the Orange. There's a rough road ahead here, but to get a win, to bank that knowledge, to do something even with your 4-minute games that you cannot replicate in practice, Judah says how big that was.
Once we cut it to 10, I knew we were in the game, and then once it got to single digits, it just looks different on the board. And that type of confidence for our team is something that you can't allow us to get. I'm proud of our guys. I'm proud of Coach Ray. I'm proud of all the staff. So, I feel like this is a big stepping stone for us, and we're going to be ready for what comes ahead.
I'm a big fan of process and preparation and how things like this pay off in games. Chris Bell, I think, had one of the most unique insights into what led to Syracuse. Didn't show it in the first half, certainly did in the second half, but what motivated Syracuse going into this matchup against Colgate, who had knocked them down at the Dome 2 years in a row.
So the last 2 years, in 2021, 2022, we lost by 12, I think, last year, and then the year before we lost by 15. So they put the scores on the basket so we could see them. And I think a lot of people were pissed off, but I think that helped us a lot, giving us confidence and, getting a little bit angry before we play them.
Guys, it's that kind of insight you're going to get as a Syracuse Sports Insider by texting ORANGE to 315-847-3895. You would have got a text shortly after the game, after I got out of the locker room, with that nugget from Chris Bell, with that insight from Judah Mintz. It's that kind of exclusive insight behind the scenes. What's going on back there? What are the players saying in the locker room? I'm going to bring that to you as a Syracuse Sports Insider. Sign up today. Try it free for 2 weeks. Just $3.99 a month after that, and you can cancel anytime. Wanted to play one more clip here. This is Chris Bell. Hey, when did you know that you had them? Comebacks, building, momentum swinging, crowds into it. When did you have them?
Really, we were down by 13, and I think the gym was loud. Everybody was excited. And I was like, oh, yeah, we're coming back. I was like, we're not going to lose this game. And that's what happened.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Judah. Thank you, Dan Villari. Thanks to you, of course, for watching and listening to Syracuse Sports, presented by Krause Health. Please subscribe on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and Amazon. Leave us a review at any of those places. Really helps us stand out in the podcast space. Really appreciate those of you that have signed up for Syracuse Sports Insider. But get on board, guys. It's going to be a fun ride. Direct access to me. A starring, shining role here on Syracuse Sports and on our post-game shows, which Emily Leiker and I will be doing Saturday night after the Orange take on Georgia Tech in Atlanta. We've been doing the post-game shows live. They've been a blast. And being a Syracuse Sports Insider, you're going to go right to the top of the list of the people that get their questions, their comments answered, their opinions shared, both here on the Syracuse Sports Podcast and our Syracuse Sports post-game shows, which we're doing after every Syracuse football and basketball game. So being a subscriber here, you'll get the podcast version of that, but look for it live on Syracuse Orange Sports on YouTube, Syracuse Orange Football on syracuse.com on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter at Brent Axe Media as well, and you'll see the link pop up. We usually go on about an hour and a half after the game, after Emily and I take care of some post-game duties, talking live with you. It's been a blast. Sign up to be a Syracuse Sports Insider. Can't wait to hear from you guys. Can't wait to talk to you next on Syracuse Sports, presented by Krause Health, the exclusive healthcare provider of SU Athletics. We'll talk to you next time, guys.